Grant Shipman is the founder of Livingsmith. It's an organization specializing in co-living property management, investment strategies, and innovative solutions to our housing crisis. Welcome to the show, Grant.
Hey, George, thanks so much. This is a cool honor to be here. This is great.
Well, that's excited. I'm excited to have you on. Tell us a little about your personal life, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, so it's like as connected as you say it is. I always wanted to be find my soulmate, be a dad, all of that stuff. And before the show, like we were talking about, I've got, two little toddlers now. We just found out we were pregnant a couple days ago, so I'm probably not supposed to say that, but it might not get back to my friends and family, so we'll find out. But the this I really wanted this, and oh man, when I first was doing business, I owned an acrobatic studio down in Austin. It was wildly successful, but I had no time. And so I made that mistake of reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was fantastic. And I thought, I don't just want like a dream babe magical journey. That's what I called it, right? My soulmate, find my girls, but I want the schedule and the finances to be able to enjoy them. So, man, about what's been like 10 years now, I stumbled across what has become to known as co-living. But it's a new rental real estate strategy. And holy moly, it took me to financial freedom in 15 months. I was 2 months later, I met my who would become my wife. Her name's Sarah. And we got pregnant on our honeymoon, and then we got pregnant right after that baby, and things just keep getting better and better. And by the way, I just not only does it provide financial freedom, this co-living real estate investing, but I just am a community freak. I love it. I love seeing these non-traditional households, these just normal mainstream people like any of us are, except for now they have a household to be part of, right? So that's kind of where I'm at now. Is I've got my family. I'm enjoying sharing about what I do so other people can do it, and really it's just great to have that freedom of schedule and to watch kind of watch real estate happen, except for specifically with households and making a difference, not merely providing, safe, good housing.
Well, I appreciate all that. What an advertisement for Rich Dad Poor Dad right there. You made the decision that you wanted to change your entire life. You read that book and it all worked.
Yeah, yeah. When I read it, I made my number. How much money do I need in passive income to have, financial freedom? And I was like, that will only take me 10 years. I was like, oh, but well, also 10 years, if I don't goof up and everything goes right.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, like the it even back then when I thought it was going to take me 10 years before I discovered co-living, I thought this is 100% worth it. I just doubled down and went after it.
Nice. And I love the idea of creating households over simply providing housing. I think that that's cool. I'm a big community guy also. So what what is co-living? Is it dormitories? Is it apartments? Is it
Yeah. So I think something that makes it hard to understand, and this is why your question is so important. I'm really glad you asked because it shares similarities out there. Like I say co-living, and some people think like student housing, like you mentioned, dormitories, or some people think sober living, or rent by the room, like as far as like more housing for low income, this kind of thing. But specifically, co-living is part of the share economy. It got going really strong back in 2010. It started around 2003, but it's mainstream people who would like to live with others. They don't want to sign a lease with strangers. They want to live in a neighborhood house, just a normal house, and they'd like to live with others. So what co-housing is, very, very specifically, is you find a normal neighborhood house and you put a lease on each bedroom. It's a long-term lease, Most people stay, our average tenancy is a little over 2 years. And people just kind of have community on their own terms. They enjoy a nice house that's easy to keep clean because there's multiple responsible adults keeping it clean. And quite frankly, it is the only immediate solution to the housing inventory issues that we have right now. It's quite fantastic. So
I was reading on your website that there have been a couple of pretty large companies, common to name one, that received like $100 million of investment and then promptly failed because of tenant issues, I believe.
yes.
So how do you mentioned mainstream people, so I appreciate that. You probably have a really good streak screening process and selection process, but how do you overcome the challenges that these other companies fail to overcome?
So George, like the this really cool thing, I call it the $256 million question because not only did, like you mentioned, that common $112 million startup fail, just went bankrupt in June of this year. Um, but plenty of other companies have Star City, Ollie. In fact, all of the companies, the large startup companies, have failed $256 million worth, except for one. And I don't know, I don't know if it's had enough time to fail yet. But why? Yeah, yeah. I really hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. But it does come down to this question of how do you find people that get along? And and this is where when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, where I landed on like, holy cow, this accidental hit part of my history is going to make me so much money. So what I had happen was I had some tough things happen in my life, and I did the unexpected, and I moved in with hippies. I moved into a housing co-op. I loved it, by the way. It was a vegetarian kitchen. I'm not a vegetarian, right? Like it was, I mean, so many things that I wasn't, but that they totally accepted me. They thought this is great. I thought this was great. I had those tough things in my life. I discovered kind of the joys of they're called the intentional living community, right? Housing co-ops, communes, all of this stuff. They're people who don't live together because they have to, but because they want to. But the downside of the intentional living community, if there is one, is that it's not for mainstream people, right? And so I accidentally found my way in there, and I thought, wouldn't this be cool if it could be offered for mainstream people? So what I found out from them and how to answer this $256 million question is you don't need to find the right people. In fact, the right people move in together all the time, right? Friends who have been friends for years, et cetera, and they get in all kinds of fights.
Hmm.
Um, what I learned from them, and they've been doing this for not just decades, but centuries, is what you want is the right kind of household. So when you have a healthy way to live together, then anybody who's reasonable and responsible will thrive in that environment. They don't need a particular, uh, you know, um, like temperament or job or affinity or things like that. So really how we do it, we actually have a pretty straight, the screening process is just like anybody in rental real estate, right? There's an application, we check references, we do a background check, they sign a lease, they move in, and um, and it works out really, really well. So as far as how are we succeeding when all of these people with well, not just a lot of money behind these companies, these have proven leadership, big time software. But when it comes down to it, people are just people and they need a healthy environment to live in. They need structure, but not too much, that kind of thing.
So there's got to be some secret sauce though, or no.
Well, yeah, you know what? Some people tell me, they're like, Grant, like when you're not thinking about your answer, you tell a story and it's so much more helpful than your answer. So so I guess a little, little gut punch to me, but yeah, maybe a story is best. So there
Sure.
is I'm gonna change some names, but early on when I got started, there was a guy named John living in the house, and And he contacted the property management company and he said he was living with the devil. The devil's name is Tim, and said all kinds of awful things about Tim. And and anyway, the property management company said, "Hey, that's your that's in your household. Just use your conflict resolution system."
Hmm.
And then Tim, um, unbeknownst to John, had contacted the property management company. He said he also was living with the devil, and the devil's name was John. And and I mean, how many times has this happened before, right? I heard one preacher say that at one point, most married people think they've married the Antichrist, right? Like, and if they stay married long enough to figure, to have that realization, and it's just a matter of well, let me get back to the story, right? Because that's the point. So John and Tim, that was on, let's see, that was on Friday. And we kept hearing it from both of them, just kept saying, use the resolution system. Then on Tuesday, do you know what happened?
Something bad?
Right. What happened? Oh, well, they went to Taco Tuesday. They walked to Taco Tuesday, and they have done that every single Tuesday, as far as I know, since then. And that was in 2018. They are best friends.
Okay.
Um, do you do you want to hear the inside, like, saucy scoop of what happened between them?
Of course.
I have no clue. I have no clue. And this is the reason is like so they figured it out themselves, and conflict is such an important part of building a trusting relationship. So people in your household, whether they're your relatives or not, you're going to step on each other's toes. When this happens, you build a mutual respect and appreciation. It doesn't matter how much a healthy household hangs out. They don't have to be BFFs. They don't have to get together, for 3 hours a week and soon sing Kumbaya. But for this trusting relationship to happen, conflict happens. They have to handle it. If somebody else solves it, doesn't work, they handle it, and then they build that trust. And not only does it build like a really great household, but more importantly, um, each of us personally, if we're in that place when we solve a conflict on our own, when we didn't see a way out, it's very empowering. So to say what is the secret sauce is we give them a conflict resolution system that, the hippies, perfected over the years. It's a little 10-minute conversation. And then we just butt out because it's none of our business.
So the screening process, it demands people are emotionally intelligent to recognize when they're having an issue and then to be empathetic enough to recognize that other people are going through stuff also. And we're adults, so we need to have a conversation about this person to person.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, I mean, a lot of us are there or might be there, but when things get tough and somebody says, "Hey, we need to talk," the only rule in the house, it's part of the household agreements, the household covenant, is people in the house have said, if somebody says, can we talk, and then that's a 10-minute conversation, and you need to make time for that, either then or in the next 5, 6 days, and so if somebody doesn't have the emotional intelligence to notice things like this, then they're going to get it in the house or they're going to self-select out. I mean,
Mhm.
that happens all the time in life.
100%. All right. So your clients are people who are interested in becoming investors. Your clients are individuals
Mm.
interested in joining a household.
Yeah, the main client. So in regard to clients as far as renters or clients as far as current or interested investors, to say renters, this is a massive demand. We have waiting lists. We don't need to advertise in any unique way. We use typical advertising. So that's not needed. What's needed, and this is really the reason why I've putting myself out there this year. Is we've been training people since 2019, but what really needs to happen is this kind of housing only independent investors, can provide, right? These big money startups, they're trying to solve it with software. There's government, they don't do a great job of providing housing. So for people who are current or want to get into real estate investing, you can provide this type of housing. I bought all my first houses with not a dime of my own. And a house is gonna pull in, if you pull in like, man, $6,300 a month. That would normally pull in maybe 25 as a rental. So to say this is a really powerful income strategy. So yeah, if there's investors, I would love for them to learn about this, to get interested in it, and to provide the housing because holy cow. I mean, investors make way more money for way less, and renters get a big, beautiful house for the price of a room. It's like a massive win-win.
It sounds like it. So you are providing the framework, the blueprint for
Mm.
somebody who says this is interesting. Where do I even get started? And you'll take them from soup to nuts.
Yeah, yeah. So I put a goodie bag together for anybody listening, George. Like this I thought, okay, this for people who are really interested. This is not listed anywhere else on our website, but on if you go to livingsmithpro.com/lifeblood, there's a goodie bag there. So one, there's a book that our renters wrote, and it is awesome. People love it. So that's normally like a $28 thing on Amazon. They can download that with a code. The other thing is we have a free 5-day training coming up, and we will give you everything, even if you don't have money, you don't have real estate experience. I was driving, I was delivering Domino's pizza in a shitty Prius and renting a room when I got started, right? The lender laughed at me. I had no savings, right? So so this 5-day training, if this is piquing anybody's interest, this is a great way to do it. And if there's somebody who really just wants to jump on it, do those two things, and you can schedule a call with me or one of my team. We do a 30-minute consult and we'll go over things with you and really get down to it. That's a one-on-one consult. So yeah, it's livingsmithpro.com/lifeblood. And that's just for anybody who's listening here because I want to do whatever I can to get behind that. We need to duplicate efforts. This kind of housing is so in demand.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. So I definitely appreciate it. Is there a profile? You are obviously an exceptional person. You're driving a Prius and delivering pizzas, and you're like,
Right.
I need to do something. You were already an entrepreneur because you had the acrobatics.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was a struggling entrepreneur, trading the 40-hour week for the 90-hour week. But yes.
Right. Is there so just the profile of people who are interested in this? Let's dig a little bit more into that.
Okay.
Obviously, it'd be better if somebody had a bunch of cash, but you're saying it's not necessarily necessary. What about just how interest rate environments have changed, or just
Yeah.
just the housing market in general?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you run the stats, 150 years and longer has always been a good time to buy real estate. Now, it's never a good time to buy real estate if it's a bad deal. But all the properties I've ever gotten are off the MLS. But to say when I got started, I was like, oh, like this dawned on me. I was like, holy cow, this can make so much money. So I just texted all my friends and I said, hey, if you want to partner with me on this, I'll do all the work. If you bring in 30,000 bucks and we'll get you 1,500 a month and cash flow, just everything, even after the mortgage, all of that stuff. So and I had people say, are you a realtor? I'm like, no. They're like, are you a mortgage lender? I'm like, no, I have zero real estate experience. I was just like, just told them, hey, this is where I'm at, but I know how to do this if you're willing to take the chance. And so the first gal who took the chance with me, she was a longtime friend. Um, Her first house, so she was making 2,000 a month. That's after she split it with me because we were making the house was cash flowing 4,000 a month. After 3 months, um, she had enough money to buy another house, and 6 months later, another house. So she had three houses for the price of one that were cash flowing. I mean, I don't know how much people have expectations for their a normal house to cash flow, but the goal is $200 or more. And these houses were cash flowing like $2,000, even split between her and I. So just to say that as far as the profile of a person, I would say somebody who's open to learning new things. If you want to do it the old way, it's not going to work. Um, and um, and then somebody who has a good character, right? Like if people trust you for a reason because you're a trustworthy person, this is going to be something easy to do whether you have money or not.
Nice. And the reason that it cash flows so much more is because if we have a four-bedroom home, we have four
Mm,
individual leases, theoretically speaking.
right.
And people who are doing this are paying a bit of a premium, if that's the right term.
Yeah, I mean, you sell pizza by the slice, it makes a whole bunch more money, right? And people love it, right?
It's
They don't
true.
want the whole
People,
pizza. Yeah. Yeah.
that is an awesome analogy right there. So
I've got to give credit to right, because I'm always saying things in stutter stories. The general manager of Pad Split, which is the current company, it's a $30 million startup that hasn't gone bankrupt yet. They just became profitable. I hope that they do well. But the general manager of Pad Split and I are friends. His name Quentin, but he's like, Grant, stop being so confusing. Just say it's selling pizza by the slice. And I'm like, oh, you're a genius, Quentin. So props to him, man. Yeah.
that is pretty funny right there. I love it. Nice. Well, Grant, thank you so much for coming on. It's been fun to talk with you and to learn about co-living. Give us the website again. How can we get the goodie bag? How can we take advantage of that free
Yeah.
5-day training?
Yeah. Go to livingsmithpro.com. So it's livingsmithpro.com/lifeblood. And if you remember that, just jump on there, get a hold of me. Anything that me or my team can do to help, we're all in. It's the listeners here very much deserve it. So yeah, I'm really amped. I hope to hear from as many people as possible.
Love it. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Grant your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to livingsmithpro.com/lifeblood and take advantage of Grant's goodie bag. Download the book, take advantage of the training, get on a call, and find out if this is the right way for you to take your next step into real estate or even your first, wherever you are. So thanks again, Grant.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is awesome.
Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.